going on, everyone? Welcome to today's weather outlook for Friday, April 7th, 2023. Happy Good Friday to all those who celebrate. And taking a look at the national picture, not terrible unless you're in the southeast U.S. We do have this boundary which is still stalled. The actual boundary itself has pushed southeast of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, New York City, but we have this large area of clouds which still remains. The southern portions of the mid-Atlantic down to the southeast, wet conditions continue, and unfortunately that's going to continue right on up until about Sunday evening. The Masters, it's dry right now, but I'm telling you, it's going to be changing there pretty soon. Here's your live look at radar down by the Masters. And you can see here's Augusta. Yeah, thunderstorms are starting to pop up there. We've been concerned about that. Tomorrow is actually going to be an even weather day. And we could definitely see a potential period pretty soon where play gets suspended at the Masters. Take a look at the Pacific Northwest. We do have a lot of clouds. We do have some mountain rain and snow which is going on with these clouds. And taking a look at the National Hazards Map, we're not expecting it to be a major system out in the west, but it's something that's causing showers and snow showers in the mountains. You can see there's winter weather advisories for some of the mountains of California. Down in Louisiana and Texas, there are flood watches up because there has been ongoing heavy rain. Let's take a look at the radar down there. You can see one cluster has left. There's another area that's forming back in Texas. Then we have this area of light to moderate, even steady rain that's going on in the mid-Atlantic region, and that's not a terrible thing. You do need the rainfall, and stay tuned. We're going to have a look at the drought conditions just a little bit later in this video. And you can see here, if we pan around, here's the showers that are out in the west. Again, it's not a major system by any means, but it is a nuisance if you're traveling, so it's something you want to pay attention to. And a lot of this, what you see on radar in the east, like up in Pennsylvania, much of that is not reaching the ground. Taking a look here at storm reports so far today, there are none so far. Yesterday, we actually went a day without a tornado report. There were still 41 wind reports yesterday, 41 regular hail reports, and 3 large hail reports. SPC for today does show a marginal risk for portions of Louisiana, including New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama, and portions of Mississippi. Taking a look at the WPC excessive rainfall for today, there is a slight risk of that across portions of the Gulf Coast simply because of the heavy rainfall threat for today. And let's time that out with the HER model. This is using a 12Z run. I'll advance this a little bit. Here we are for about 2 o'clock on with the HER model, and you can see some steady rain continues in the mid-Atlantic region. The front finally gets a little more southeast before it stalls once again, and you can see a renewed area of convection gets going over Louisiana tonight, and watch what happens for South Carolina. You have this convection that pops up in Georgia, and that just pretty much smears out and becomes a general area of moderate to even heavy rainfall. And all these gaps in between eventually fill in here as we head into Saturday. Saturday, there could be a couple dry patches at the Masters, but as we get towards the afternoon, that quickly fills in with showers, thunderstorms, and eventually some moderate to maybe even heavy rain. Finally, on Sunday, this system exits the coast. But if you're directly along the coast, like South Carolina, Charleston, Kiowa Islands, even south portions of North Carolina and the Georgia coast, it continues to be unsettled, showery, winds blowing off the Atlantic Ocean. It's not going to be a nice Easter weekend down in the southeast. And Florida, you then run into a period of showers and thunderstorms. And there's something I want to show you with that. Let's go to the GFS model here. First off, here's the system out in the northwest. As you can see, you get several rounds of these disturbances that come into the northwest. Here's the system that exits on Sunday afternoon. But then watch what happens with the front. You kind of get this showery pattern that sets over Florida. Then you have that energy. Remember the system that was over the west today? That energy comes down to Texas. There are a great deal of uncertainty with this system. Look what the GFS does. It pops thunderstorms off the coast of Texas, and that then forms an area of low pressure. I want to say there's some convective feedback with this, but who knows? It is supported by its ensemble, and I'll show you that in a minute. Watch what happens here. It forms a fairly decent area of low pressure. You have convection to the east of it. Here's the low here. And that could even be tropical to some degree, maybe subtropical. And this has been showing up run after run after run. The Canadian model from time to time has shown it. The European has shown it from time to time as well. The new European, which is coming in right now, we'll see what that shows for it. I will tweet out the European data when that comes in. If it shows it, I'll put a tweet out about that. But here we go. Now we're into late next week, and yes, this is a tropical storm on the GFS, right off the coast of Louisiana, right near New Orleans. It wouldn't cause major impacts. The biggest impact would be probably heavy rainfall. There would be an increase in sea level values. Waves would get higher. There would be some wind, but look at this. It doesn't move all that fast. Then it just comes into a ball of energy, and it tries to come up the east coast. Then behind us, if you look here, the northeast stays very dry. And matter of fact, I don't think the GFS is dry enough, because the only reason why it shows a whole lot of precipitation here, and this showers basically, is because that system comes up the coast, and then it meets up with this front that comes through, and that just increases the lifting, which naturally you're going to get a few showers with that. But let's take a look at the precipitation amounts here over like the next 2 weeks, and I want to show you something here. Okay, so the GFS here, yes, it is showing some disturbed weather in the northeast. We're not buying into that. I'm thinking that's probably overdone. But look down here along the Gulf Coast states. Really wet. That is likely to be correct if that tropical system occurs. Let's switch models here and go to the Canadian model. And look at this. The Canadian model through 120, drier picture across southern New England, northeast states, Ohio, very dry. And this run actually did not go past 120 for some reason, at least on that map. But here you go. Look at the precipitation here on the CMC. Very dry in the northeast states. I'm starting to get concerned about drought concerns, and I will show you why in a moment. Look here. We're going through the whole entire Canadian model run and dry in the northeast. By the way, California stays relatively quiet for the next several days. That is some great news because you really need it. You're just going to see that minor system this weekend, and that's it. Now let's take a look at the GEFS. This is the ensemble of the GFS. Watch what happens in the Gulf Coast as we get towards about Tuesday. Here's 12Z Tuesday. That's Tuesday morning. Look at this. You have multiple members showing an area of low pressure formed in the Gulf. Wednesday morning, it's a little bit more defined. Thursday morning, it still exists. So we're going to have to really keep an eye on this. Remember, it's only April. The waters aren't as warm as they are in the summertime. And conditions are not as favorable this time of year. But there's enough indication here that it's something we need to keep an eye on. And that it's something that could develop. And it could create some unsettled weather in the Gulf Coast region. Winds would increase. There would be some heavy rainfall. You would see showers and thunderstorms in Florida. Yes, waves would increase slightly. It's not going to be a catastrophic system, but it's something that's, worth keeping an eye on because it's April and we're not used to seeing this so early in April. All right, let's take a look at the drought monitor. Several things to look at here. First off, California. Yes, there's still a couple areas of drought, but for the most part, remember when California was in an extreme drought at this time last year? That has been erased. Where we still do have drought conditions, some in the Pacific Northwest, but with these systems coming in, more of a dent will be made into that. The problem that we've been talking about for a long time, and even before I started this channel, I've been very concerned about, I've been talking about it on Twitter, is from Texas right on up through the plains. And this area continues to be problematic. We may see some more drought relief in southeast Texas, especially if that low develops the way the GFS has. But right now, the plains, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, you remain in this drought-stricken pattern, and it's something that's of concern. The other area of concern continues to be Florida. But if that low forms, you'll see showers and thunderstorms, then some of it could be widespread, and that could help your drought situation. Where I'm expecting drought conditions to worsen is from the mid-Atlantic, we'll call it about Richmond, Virginia, on up through New England. I'm really getting concerned. You can see New England's doing well right now. Last year they had a dry stretch in the summer. I'm concerned that's going to come back. Look what's starting to pop up around D.C., Southeast Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey. I think we're going to see that expand significantly to at least abnormal dry conditions. And perhaps as we head into May, I know it's only April 7th, we could see this turn into a moderate drought rather quickly. Because I'm going to go to the GEFS here again. I'm going to show you something here. Here's total precipitation. We're through 168 hours. We're now through 180 hours. Let's just take it out through 222 hours. Not even an inch of rain north of Washington, D.C. for any of these regions. And that includes the Ohio Valley. The Ohio Valley will have to watch as well. Right now, you're not in drought conditions, but down the line, if it stays this dry for a long time, it could happen. And remember, the closer we get towards summer, the higher evaporation gets, the faster you head towards drought conditions if you don't get proper amounts of rain. All right, WPC over the next several days. You can see here, relatively wet in the south. Look, this is 1 through 7 days. Here's the dry conditions again. From St. Louis all the way up in through the northeast, very dry conditions. You get a little bit of a chance of precipitation across the plains, nothing major. Pacific Northwest, very wet. All right, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. We're still looking at this well above average temperatures for next week. 70s and 80s will be found from the northeast all the way back through Oklahoma. The west coast will stay below average, and the Gulf Coast, a lot of that's going to be dependent on that tropical low. If that develops, this will actually probably be too warm for you. But if it doesn't develop, this would probably be right on cue. Take a look at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. Again, west coast below average, still above average in the northeast, but if that tropical system does develop and tries to sneak up as a weak system up the east coast, from about Philadelphia on southward, you would probably get either average temperatures or slightly below average temperatures, just simply because there would be cloudy conditions, a few spotty showers, wind off the waters. But if that doesn't happen, yeah, this above average, it's on cue. And looking at Alaska there, slightly below average temperatures expected there. 6 to 10 day rainfall. As expected, the northeast is well below average. The plains on southward above average precipitation. California below average precipitation. And slightly above average in Florida, which is some good news. Now this could bust a little bit too dry in Louisiana if that tropical system develops. Taking a look here on the 8 to 14 day outlook, near normal for much of the west coast, below normal continuing for the northeast. And again, I'm becoming concerned that we're going to probably enter abnormal dry conditions in the next couple weeks and possibly moderate drought as we head into May. So we'll have to watch. Hopefully May could get wetter, but right now I'm just not seeing it. Plains slightly above average, Florida slightly above average. All right, folks, that does it for today's weather update. We'll have another one tomorrow. We may do a short later this afternoon on the rainfall in the south, or potentially a European update, short, like a 60-second short video on the tropical low in the Gulf if things get more interesting. As of right now, I'm not 100% convinced that a low or tropical low will develop, but it's something we have to continue to watch, and we'll have another update on that again tomorrow. We should get a better picture by tomorrow or Easter Sunday. If you celebrate Easter this weekend, have a happy Easter, everyone, and see you all again next time. Remember to hit the like button if you like this video, and subscribe down below if you want to see more updates like this one. Take care. See you all next time.